With only 3 days left to climb to Masters in Ranked, this is going to be the video to help you guys crush it. Hey guys, Zen here, and today I'm going to be helping you guys as much as I can get to that final rank goal of Masters so you can get the emblem. And yeah, that is correct. There's literally like 3 days left almost before it ends, and then we have another 3 days before the new expansion drops. But I also believe the new season for Ranked will probably drop a bit sooner if they're doing it. I don't see why they wouldn't. So yeah, we got 3 days left, so let's get right to it. First, I want to talk about this real quick. This is a very nice stat line right here to show us everything. Giratina EX has a 28% popularity with a 54.61% win rate. Okay, compare that to literally the second spot popularity wise. No one's playing Gyarados compared to the Giratina, right? That is almost twice, almost 3 times as much. You have 3 times as much of a chance to go into Giratina EX than you do a Gyarados EX. Okay, so if you're playing ranked and you're seeing that, you're not alone. There's a reason for this. Now, this is where things get crazy. Let's go to this amazing website and look at, hold on, let me just, right there, beautiful. Giratina EX right here. Can you guys see that power level? 130.5. It is literally the only one at tier 1. And then the first deck, which you saw at a 9% popularity rate around, is a 40 power level. And this is automatically updated from the tournament topping decks from Limitless TCG. So like thousands of data points and matches. Giratina EX and Darkrai EX are literally the best deck ever. We're going to go over that deck if you want to play that. However, with that being said, I just want to reiterate, yes, there might be 3 days left to climb to rank to Masters, but if you're one of those that are just like, you want to play something you enjoy, you want to play Glade, you want to play Palkia, Arceus, you want to play Skarmory, Beedrill, and you're having a hard time, be easy on yourself, right? Like when you're looking at a Beedrill with a power level of 3 and a tier 4, which is still a good deck, right? Don't get me wrong. This is a solid deck. And then you compare it to the 130 Giratina, you're not the problem. Giratina power creep kind of is, right? So like, I just want to point that out. So if you're just trying to hit Masters, then maybe pick up a Giratina Darkrai EX, because honestly, there's 3 days left and everybody else is doing it. 3 times as much of every other player group. However, if you have the time and you want to play something you enjoy, then pick up anything else. Okay. Now, with that being said, here is the standard Darkrai Giratina deck list. Every deck is running Professor Research. Every deck is running 2 Darkrai's. There's 99% 2 Darkrai's, 99% in all decks are running 2 Giratinas, 2 Pokeballs. Most of the time, it's double capes. Most of the time, that's at least a single Cyrus. Most of the time, it's a Leaf. Half of the time, it's a Rocky Helmet as well. Sometimes I see them running a ton more Rocky Helmets. I really like this website that breaks down like what most of the decks are doing. Most of the time they're running red. That's going to be your finisher. Sabrina, almost always they're having double potions. A little over half the time they got Nurse Joy. A Mars, 65% of the time there's a single Mars. I'm going to tell you sometimes they run double Mars. Less than 15%. You have 13%. They're running TRG, Team Rocket Grunt, and then also Dawn, less than 10% almost are running Dawn. So there you have it. If this is kind of just like the idea of what you could run, the different variations that you will potentially see on the ladder, just know that these are typically the ranges, like almost all of them are gonna have a red. So if you're worried about a red or a Cyrus, they probably have it. But if you're worried about something like a Dawn and a TRG, the chances are they're less likely to have that in their deck. Now, the next part here, you could literally just look up to the side right here to find all these first place winning deck lists. This one was from yesterday. We'll just click on this one. There we go. We have the full deck breakdown. 2 Darkrai's, 2 Giratinas, 2 Capes. Listen, I told you the 2 Mars, right? They're running it. I see it all the time. 2 Mars, 2 Pokeballs, 1 Leaf, 2 Nurse Joys. That's kind of interesting. No Cyrus here. A Sabrina, 2 Potions, 2 Researchers, a red, and a Rocky Helmet. So there's a variation. Again, this website's tremendous. It'll be in the description. You can just look at any of these first place winning deck lists and try to operate it to the best of your ability. There is something I do want to point point out real quick. I know some people might get upset, but I just want to help as many people as possible. Typically, the way you win this is your Giratina needs its energy, okay? On the third turn, where you're about to broken space bellow to get your third psychic energy, even if your Darkrai only has 2 darkness energy, that's the turn you give your Giratina also a darkness energy, because it can attack that turn, right? So your Darkrai on bench has 2 energy. This is where a lot of people mess up. They give their Darkrai the energy, and then they use space broken bellow, whatever, and they have 3 psychic, and then the following turn, whereas they really needed that extra chip damage to turn Giratina's damage into potentially 150 or maybe even 170 with red and Darkrai, they've already they can't take that darkness from the energy zone and give it to Darkrai. They have to commit to Giratina now, because they didn't give Giratina that darkness the previous turn, where it didn't really, like, that's the turn where you should give it. So whenever you're getting your third psychic energy through Giratina's ability, that is also the turn you should give it the darkness energy. And then the following turn, you're ready to pop off 130, but now you have up to 150 damage with Darkrai. You just give it the energy, 150 or 170 with red. That is, honestly, that is the sauce of this deck. Just knowing when to move around your energy and when to use your cards. So just wanted to share that with you guys. If you're going to be part of that almost 30% of players that are just running Giratina and Darkrai. So don't say I didn't do anything for you guys. Now, with that being said, I think any of these 3 decks in tier 2 would be the best case scenario to deal with Darkrai Giratina. Again, this thing, the power level on this deck is astronomical compared to these guys. I'm hoping that this new set rebalances things, because this is it's just too much of a power creep, unfortunately. I wouldn't be surprised if the new season for ranked drops and people are still playing Giratina Darkrai, even though we have like hundreds of new cards, right? And new EXs. But if you want, you can run a Gyarados variation, a Meowscarada variation, and a Charizard EX deck variation. Those are going to be solid. Let's go over those really quickly. Here's what a typical Gyarados deck list will look like. One thing that is very interesting is this Mars. Now, you're probably wondering, why is Mars here? Why is Mars good? Mars is very strong into stage 2 decks, specifically Magnezones, Meowscaradas, Charizard. So if you're going into anything that requires a stage 2 evolution, your Mars is going to help you tremendously. This is less than 50% usage, but I would honestly recommend, actually, maybe you don't need it, because again, most people are going to be playing Darkrai and Giratina, so maybe you opt out of that and replace it with something else. Some people have been playing Articuno over the Origin Form Palkia. Personally, the Origin Form Palkia is cool because you can do a ton more damage. However, it also does have a little bit more HP. However, the retreat cost on Articuno is way more manageable, just being able to retreat for 1, I believe. So I think that could be good. Also, paralyzing your opponent with a coin flip might sound cheeky, but it could save you the game. And once you get Gyarados online, you can Misty, you can Manaphy, you can keep yourself alive with Irida. The idea of this is you Irida, your Gyarados, they can never knock you out unless they're able to do 160 damage plus 20 damage with red. So as long as you're out of that threshold, they can never fully one-shot your Gyarados. So Gyarados is a nice counter into Darkrai Giratina. However, it's very difficult to like actually play this correctly. It doesn't even require too much luck. It just requires you not bricking and not losing your Magikarps and just your opponent getting everything they require. In fact, I have a video on my channel. If you want to see me play a top variation of Gyarados, check it out. The link will be somewhere in this video. Now let's move on to the next deck list. The Meowscarada Magnezone deck list. I personally don't like this. I think it's only risen in popularity just because it's cool and creative, but essentially Sprigatito pulls only from its own line, so you're able to find your Floragato and Meowscarada much quicker. You get online, it's the EX killer. Your Magneton Magnezone can ramp itself, and then you have Reds to dish out a ton more damage, potentially 150 into an EX or 130 with your Magnezone. You have Cyrus, Sabrina's, nothing too crazy here. It's pretty standard. It's great when it works, but get hit with a Mars or just Brick, and this does not feel that great. So honestly, if you want to play this, but I can't recommend this. I can recommend the Gyarados. I feel like the Gyarados is pretty solid. That's a good one to play. And then finally, Charizard EX. This is literally just coin flip simulator. I highly recommend this because you just win as long as you get your coin flips. You lead with Moltres, you charge up into your Charizard EX, you get at least 5 energy on that. If you haven't lost a single Pokemon yet, you pull out, you hit Crimson Storm, you hit it again, and you just typically win, because if they're playing Giratina Darkrai, there is nothing that's going to survive a 200 damage on their face, and they can't knock you out. The best they can do is Rocky Helmet one of their Pokemon, where your Charizard will take damage. It goes to 160, Darkrai chips it again for you, dropping to 140, then Giratina can hit you with a red, and that's a 150 damage. So that you lose your Charizard that way. So I almost always recommend the Giant Cape on your Charizard, because with that, you're going to survive the line of a Rocky Helmet, chip damage from Darkrai, and Giratina red. This might be a little too technical and going over some of your guys' heads. It's fine. I've just played a lot of these matches, so you're almost always going to want Giant Cape for your Charizard EX. Potions are great. Iono's pretty solid in this. A Shaman too, to help just get your HP up there. You want to stay above the break points of getting knocked out by the Darkrai Giratina decks. But yeah, Charizard EX is also a pretty solid counter as long as you win the coin flip simulator, right? You're not getting tails back to back to back. And it feels pretty good. It's pretty consistent. I think I went on almost a 6 or 7 win streak with this deck. It's pretty solid. However, it won't do great into Gyarados, especially if your Gyarados gets online and you don't have enough, what's it called? Energy to attack with Crimson Storm, just because it reduces our energy potentially with its attack, and it deals, what is that, 160 damage with red. It's one-shotting Charizard. So a Charizard is never going to survive a Gyarados unless we have Crimson Storm before their Gyarados. So with that being said, let's go right back to the tier list. The top 3 decks I think you guys should be playing for the final 3 days, if you're trying to just get to Masters, right, is the Giratina Darkrai, the Gyarados EX, and the Charizard EX. Some people might say you're a terrible person for recommending this, but I'm a realist. I'm just trying to help you guys. I have almost 1,000 matches in ranked just from this season alone, and I have fallen in and out of Masters, no exaggeration, over 20 times, right? Most of the time it's on live streams for content, but it's at a certain point, this 130 power level is reflected perfectly, because that is all you're going to see. So with that being said, if you don't want to play the Giratina Darkrai EX, I really do think the Charizard right here, or the Gyarados is your best bet. But there you guys have it. I really hope this video helps you out. Again, if you're struggling, it's only a game. Don't stress too much. It is, you know, a lot of it just comes down to luck, like luck of the draw. What is your opening hand? What is your opponent's opening hand? Do not worry. It's only the first ranked season, and who knows, they might optimize it for the future where it won't feel as grindy and punishy, if you will. I don't even think that's a word. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, so you don't miss out on other very helpful content like this. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Later.